Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492 and discovered America. Wait, he didn't discover America? So you're going to learn really quick that I am not a fan of Columbus. There's a great book called Lies My Teacher Told Me, and it's all about the lies that are presented in history classes. One being that Columbus is such this great guy. Columbus was a terrible person and did terrible things. You know, when he comes over from Spain, and he's not even Spanish, he comes over from Spain to the Caribbean, to South America, he brings with him not only diseases, but he's not friendly to the natives at all. He's going to slaughter them and do horrific things to them in his time in the Caribbean. I'll spare you the details, but I am not a fan of Columbus. He is not this great man that we have built him up to be. And again, that's my personal point of view, but if you're interested, it's the first chapter of this book, Lies My Teacher Told Me, that talks about what Columbus actually did. Okay, so today we're going to talk about European exploration. We're going to talk about a number of different countries and where they went and what they did when they were there. But they're all going to explore for 3 reasons, the 3 G's: God, glory, and gold. They're going to spread religion. Specifically, the Catholic countries like Spain and Portugal are going to spread Catholicism, whether the natives wanted it or not. No one expects the Spanish Inquisition. If you don't know what I'm talking about, there's a hilarious video that the people that did Mighty Python did about the Spanish Inquisition. It's hilarious. Second reason is glory. If I have all of these lands, then I am better than the country next to me, and I have all these resources available to me, so that makes me better than the country next to me. Which leads to the third, gold. Lots of resources, specifically silver. Yeah, they didn't find much gold, but in South America, the Spanish are going to find a ton of silver. That's going to make them extremely rich. So rich that we're going to have hyperinflation, and it's going to destroy the Spanish economy in the end. So why now? Why are the Europeans exploring now? There's 2 reasons. The first is advances in technology that make it able for them to explore. They have ships now that can withstand the trip. They have the compass and astrolabe that have made its way over to Europe to use. But probably the most important reason is the fall of the Byzantine Empire and the rise of the Ottoman Empire. Because Europeans have been trading with the Byzantines and getting goods from China and India through the Byzantine Empire. And because we're both Christians, we won't charge you that much in taxes. But now that they're gone and the Ottomans are in and they're Islamic, they're Muslim, they're going to charge higher taxes. And so it's basically a way to avoid the middleman. Exploration is to find a better route to avoid the middleman and keep most of the money for yourself. And so that's what they set out to do. They want to find new routes to India and China. That's why Native Americans are called Indians. All right, let's start with Portugal. Portugal is going to sail around the tip of Africa, around the Cape of Good Hope. And they're going to find a path sailing all the way around Africa to India. The Portuguese are also going to establish colonies on these port cities. So not the big colonies like the English do in North America, but just control these port cities in Africa. Remember we talked about the Swahili states, and I told you they're going to really dominate their area of Indian Ocean trade and become very wealthy until the Portuguese come in. Well, they're here. And the Portuguese, with their superior weapons, say, hey, we now control your trade, and you have to pay taxes to us. And so that's how they're going to get their foothold in the Indian Ocean trade. And that's going to be the downfall of the Swahili states. In Spain, we have Christopher Columbus, who is not Spanish, that sails to the Caribbean. And he is going to be the start of other Spanish people, other Spaniards coming over to North America and South America and establish colonies. Ferdinand Magellan is going to come in. Hernando Cortez is going to come in. And they're going to bring diseases with them that's going to wipe out a lot of the native populations. They're going to start having plantation-based societies, which we'll talk about a little bit later when we talk about colonies, that is going to wipe out the native populations. I mean, and Columbus wasn't the only one, but horrible things. Horrible things. The British are going to establish dominance in 2 areas. They're also going to go into India, establish the British East India Company, and try and control trade in the Indian Ocean area. They're also going to go over to North America and establish colonies in North America, which is kind of our beginning of American history. The Dutch are also going to set up an East India Company, the Dutch East India Company, again trying to get that foothold in that really wealthy Indian Ocean trade. The Dutch are also going to set up colonies in Southeast Asia and South Africa. In South Africa, the people that they send over and establish colonies are known as the Boyers, and they're going to be there when the British take over South Africa, and so that's going to be important later on. So the people that sail from the Netherlands, the people that are Dutch, are going to be known as the Boyers in South Africa. The French are also going to be involved in exploration, but they're mainly going to be in North America, and they're not going to settle colonies so much. It's just, own the land. They're going to be fur traders and try and bring that wealth back to France. So we have a number of colonies being established. We'll talk about the difference between the North American colonies and the Southern colonies, the South American colonies, in a different video. There's a term you need to know in exploration. It's mercantilism. Mercantilism means all for the mother country. And so countries such as England establish colonies, and these colonies can only trade with England, and they must give all of their goods, all of their wealth to England. Their sole purpose is to drain the area they're in and give wealth to England. Same thing happens with the Spanish colonies, French colonies, etc. We also have piracy at this time. You have pirates that go and sack Spanish cities that are English pirates, and Spanish pirates that go and sack English cities. And so this is kind of your Pirates of the Caribbean time, is these people that actually probably worked for their crown sacking other country cities. So what's the impact on this going to be for Western Europe? Lots of wealth coming in to Western Europe and an expansion of their reach, of their power from areas beyond Europe. And so we're going to see wars in Europe are not only going to be fought in Europe, but they're also going to be fought in between their colonies. So why not Africa? Why did the Europeans not colonize Africa at this time? We have those port cities, but we really don't have big colonies in Africa. Well, frankly, they don't have the weapons to. They don't have superior enough weapons to colonize Africa at this time. But don't worry, the thought's in their head. They'll get there. It won't be good, but they'll get there. So I'm sorry I didn't go into all the names of the explorers. If you're interested, I encourage you to go look up the different explorers and exploration. But for our purposes, I really needed you to know where all these countries are and what they're doing there. And we'll talk about the effects of these later on in later videos. I'll see you next time.